So, The Great Gatsby, Chapter 3. Let's start with a summary of the chapter. So, a large party is staged at Gatsby's mansion and Nick describes his ostentatious lifestyle. He meets Jordan Baker there and notes that lurid speculation concerning Gatsby's past is rife. He finally meets the man himself, and then the evening ends with a car accident outside the house. This chapter accurately summarises the decadent, wasteful hedonism of the Jazz Age. Gatsby's parties are shown to be theatrical affairs attended by uninvited and rowdy parasites. The host himself is aloof, even separate from his guests. So I'm going to be having a look at the impression Fitzgerald creates of Gatsby's parties and the people who attend them. I'm going to focus on how the guests themselves are described, the use of the colour yellow and gold in this chapter, the waste created at the parties, Gatsby himself, and I'll also have a quick look at the character of Owl Eyes and what he represents. Firstly, let's look at that parasitic quality of the partygoers that I mentioned earlier. Nick describes the guests as moths, symbolising the way they move towards Gatsby's light. Although the imagery here seems delicate and positive, so you have words like whisperings, champagne and stars, Fitzgerald urges us in this chapter to peer beneath that false veneer. The guests are ultimately shown to be buzzing flies drawn to the detritus of Gatsby's backyard. People were not invited, they went there, and after that they conducted themselves according to the rules of behaviour associated with an amusement park. And this is symptomatic of the artificial rush required by these people in order for them to enjoy life. Just like those waiting in line at a roller coaster, they breathlessly anticipate the game of social interaction. They trash Gatsby's backyard, endlessly consuming and regurgitating food, drink, and opportunities for mindless and empty conversation. We've already seen a connection between the colour yellow and ideas of false hope in the Wilsons' yellow brick house within that setting of the Valley of Ashes, and also ideas of decay in the faded yellow of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg's eyes. This symbolism extends to Gatsby's station wagon, scampering like a brisk yellow bug to meet his various guests from their trains, to the yellow cocktail music which plays whilst the earth lurches away from the sun, to Jordan Baker's golden arm, and to the two girls in twin yellow dresses who indulge in drunken behaviour and gossip fiercely about their host. Each of these props in the scene on some level are false. Gatsby's car fetches guests who don't care for him. The yellow music is brassy and eventually reaches a hysterical pitch. Jordan's arm is symbolic of her golden allure, which hides her deceit and dishonesty. And the girls in twin dresses are the visual epitome of the careless excess displayed by the partygoers at large. Let's take a minute to consider the symbol of the car more closely. The automobile was a fairly recent invention and therefore a rare commodity in 1922, but it features very strongly both as an aspect of the narrative and as a symbol throughout the novel. The car that's crashed by a drunk driver at the end of the chapter symbolises the potentially destructive effects of industrialisation and mass consumerism. The invention of the car was progressively causing a road safety hazard in the 20th century that was effectively non-existent previously. So perhaps Fitzgerald is asking whether the price we pay for these dangerous commodities of convenience is too high. Have a look at Nick and Jordan's conversation at the end of the chapter and think about what's suggested about the upper class's selfishness and carelessness. Since Gatsby's interested in presenting pure theatre for his guests, no expense is spared. Nick gives details of the trails of food, drink and decor processed on the weekends of these parties, subtly documenting the wastefulness on show. The process of consumerism and its corrupting effect is clearly shown in this quotation. The crowd at the parties again portrayed as a relentless machine that devours everything. The piles of fruit peel come to represent more than mere rubbish heaps. They stand for waste and greed. The reader is finally introduced to Gatsby in this chapter, and this delay reinforces his mysterious qualities. Even when he first appears, Gatsby is unassuming and detached from the party, in stark contrast to the behaviour of his guests. Instead of making some ceremonial entrance, Gatsby stumbles into Nick's attention almost by accident. This is key to understanding Gatsby's relationship with his guests. They don't know what he looks like, and he's therefore easily overlooked.